Well, we will definitely get back to that, and I see that the board is lit up. We're going to go to. So, if you are holding, by the way, keep holding on, and I know that you're going to want to hear from our next guest because we are now going to talk about should this be the end of the accessibility of the so-called bump stock after what happened very, very tragically over the weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. We have a guest with us on the line here to talk about, something that looks like it may be a legislative possibility. Even the NRA has talked about being open to taking this taking this off the market. We are happy to welcome you to the program. Tim Schmidt is the founder and president of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. Mr. Schmidt, thanks for being with us tonight.
Hey guys, my pleasure. Great to be here. Hopefully I can help out a little bit.
I think I'm sure that you will. I'm sure that you will. But so tell us. I mean, we've obviously the country is still very, very much reeling by how many people were. There's no other word for it, massacred. The people that were injured by somebody who was using something that some people, maybe the general public has never heard of, but that people who are familiar with firearms, may be familiar with. I mean, can you just explain a little bit about what the bump stock is and whether you think people should still have access to it, or is it maybe time to change the thinking on that?
Sure, I'll give my best effort here. So, from a mechanical or engineering perspective, the bump stock, and quite frankly, there's actually like about 4 other accessory devices that are available out there. That they don't necessarily convert a semi-automatic gun into an automatic gun. They simply stimulate the effect of like a rapid fire. Now, ironically, when you install these devices on your rifle, they completely destroy the accuracy. And quite frankly, if you use them too much, they will actually destroy your gun. But that's here nor there. I think that what we really need to ask is that, on the surface, it feels like the bump stock contributed to this man's success in killing all these people. But I think we have to ask ourselves: is that really the answer? The banning of the bump stock seems like the thing to do, and it seems like it's the thing to do because we have all these politicians that want to answer. They want to offer a simple solution, but I think it's kind of an emotional knee-jerk solution. Because if we were honest with ourselves, guys, I mean, if this little piece of plastic was actually illegal before, this massacre, do you really think it wouldn't have happened? Of course not. I mean, this is a well-planned, well-rehearsed attack. And to that point, we don't even know that the full investigation isn't even done yet. So I got to tell you, the whole bump stock thing to me seems kind of goofy, and I think it's much ado about nothing.
So, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. What this seems to be is people are emotional and they're looking to find a solution, and this is just a low-hanging fruit.
Right.
And ultimately, I mean, based on what I'm seeing, this isn't going to solve anything. This wouldn't even stop somebody from replicating the functionality of this. I mean, what people don't realize is that as you pointed out, this isn't breaking the law to use this thing. This doesn't breach the 1986 ban on these weapons. You're not actually materially altering the trigger mechanism whatsoever. And you could replicate this functionality with, you could make this in your house. You wouldn't even need a 3D printer to reproduce the effect of this. And so people that are determined to, correct me if I'm wrong, they could make this at home, or, there are numerous other options that they could pursue aside from just the bump stock.
Yeah, you're exactly correct. And in addition to the fact that it's unbelievably simple to make this at home, I mean, there's already tens of thousands of these quote-unquote bump stocks out there. So, if the legislature, if our government officials decide to make them illegal, is that going to make them disappear and evaporate?
No.
Of course not. And we have to remember that making things illegal or banning certain items has very, very little effect on people that don't follow laws.
Yeah.
Well, so that's a very good point. And again, if you're just joining us, we are speaking with Tim Schmidt. He is the founder and president of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. Now, for people who are not necessarily enthusiasts of this particular kind of firearm. I mean, for example, hi Pop, if you're listening, my father and I shoot clays, sporting clays. I'm not, out there exactly spraying the courts with ammo at a high rate here, but I think, Tim, I guess the question I want to ask you is, people look at something like what happened in Las Vegas. They see, again and again. I mean, we've had something like, in 275 days or so, about the equivalent number of large scale shooting events. And I understand that the people who, bother to obtain a concealed carry permit, who to observe a waiting period, to undergo a background check. In many cases, these people are the law-abiding citizens that get a bad name,
right.
Although there's questions about, obviously whether everything in the Las Vegas incident was in fact obtained legally. So if taking away bump stocks is not the answer, I mean, how do you position yourself with the general public that's really worried and scared when they see things like this, and they think, well, guns kill people. Why? How do you position yourself when people are looking at you and saying, I don't want somebody to shoot up my kid's school? I mean, how, as a law-abiding gun owner.
Yeah, that's a great point, and you're right. It's a very tough spot, and I guess some things that I'll point out is that, first of all, as much as my heart breaks, and honestly, it's infuriating that a single person could pull off something like this, almost kill 60 people in one fell swoop. But hey, let's look at the big picture. I mean, in the city of Chicago alone this year, there have been shooting deaths of over 400 people. And Chicago has some of the most stringent gun laws in our entire country. So, to me, that kind of points out that, hey, maybe gun laws, maybe gun control doesn't work as well as some people think. And then to another point, and this is the most powerful point, guys. So yes, firearms are powerful tools. And with any powerful tool, whether it's fire, whether it's a vehicle, good things and bad things can happen from it. But firearms are used 1.5 million to 2.5 million times every year by good, law-abiding citizens to stop crimes like rape and assault and burglary. And, the fact of the matter is, guys, is that there are evil people in our world, and sometimes the firearm is the ultimate tool to level the playing field. And, it breaks my heart when crazy people use guns for bad things, but it's all about balance.
Well, I believe to my core that we are a gun-loving country, and that's substantiated by both history and facts and polling and the Second Amendment. And I don't see that that's going to change anytime soon. And the only way that I could imagine that you could even get close to eliminating gun violence in this country is to, one, secure the border so you don't have illegal flow of arms into this country, and two, just confiscate every weapon that's in this country currently. Neither of those things are going to happen. They're just not going to happen. So, how are we going to, and they shouldn't happen, we shouldn't confiscate every weapon. But, if we're going to point to one thing that we could do to start to mitigate some of these horrible atrocities that have taken place, what is it?
Well, that's a great question, and I think I have a decent answer. So for my mission in life, guys, is to help people and help families understand that responsible firearm ownership is all about education, training, and preparation. And if you can integrate that into children as they grow up, my kids, they have an unbelievable respect for firearms, and so it's not this novelty, it's not this evil tool that can do bad things. It's something to be respected and understood. And so that's what we're all about: education, training, and responsible gun ownership. And I realize I'm up against a big battle, but I'd like to think that we're making a difference.
Well, no, I think that I'm glad that we have you specifically on the program to discuss this, because I think that maybe you can speak to a lot of the conflict that goes on when you have incidents, unfortunately, like what happened in Las Vegas, because then what you have, I think, is this, you get immediately into this debate about, we should talk about gun regulation versus this is not the time to talk about gun regulation because everybody is too rattled and too amped up. So I guess, as we wind it up here, with you, Tim Schmidt is the founder, again, if you're just tuning in, and president of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. Mr. Schmidt, I mean, do you think that people's attitudes will change in society because of things like this, that regardless of whether people are owning weapons in a law-abiding way and using them in a law-abiding way, that just the public pressure will be too much? Will the voices that say you do not need military grade automatic weapons to be available on the market in the United States, will those forces win?
Okay, well, that's okay. There's a lot of questions there. Let me pick them off one by one.
Thank you.
The first
I got a little passionate myself.
That's okay. And I guess actually I'll go in reverse order, because the whole concept of military grade weapons. So there's such a misunderstanding of military grade versus just a normal hunting rifle, and there really isn't much difference, right? There certainly is going to be a look difference. Like an AR-15 looks a lot scarier than a Mini 14 or even a M1 Garand. But so right there, that you can't go down that path, because a high power rifle is a high power rifle, and if it's semi-automatic or bolt action, it's not much different than what the guys are using over in Iraq. Now, let me spread a little good information here. So I truly believe that our country is going to recover from this. I look around in my scenario, in my world here, and like the high school in my hometown has over 150 kids on the trap team. I mean, this is fantastic news. These are kids that understand firearm safety, they respect weapons, and they are, and they're not going to be drawn into this hype of like, hey, this is something where I can do something deviant. So I do believe there's hope for the country, and I'm not afraid of the future.
Great. Thank you. So we really do appreciate your time. Tim Schmidt is the founder and president of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. And Tim, where can people find out more about the association if they want to look you up?
Sure. The easiest way, guys, is to go to our website. It's USCCA.com, and all sorts of great information there, and maybe even a couple of videos of me.
Okay. We'll check it out. Thank you, Tim. We really appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome, guys. Take care.
Thanks. And